Good morning, all of you. Today we will discuss about the chapter solid state. In this chapter, general characteristics of solids are we have studied that the constituent particles in gases and liquids are free to move, and because of this, gases and liquids possess fluidity. This is because of the weaker intermolecular forces in gases and liquids. On the other hand, in solids, the constituent particles are held together by strong forces of attraction. Hence, the particles in the solid state have no translatory motion and can only vibrate about their mean positions. In other words, solids can have only vibratory motion. Solids are characterized by following properties. Solids are rigid and have definite shape and mass. The interperiod distances are short and interparticle forces are strong. Solids are almost incompressible. Solids have much high density as compared to that of liquids and gases. Crystalline and amorphous solids. On the basis of the nature of order present in the constituent particles, solids can be classified into crystalline solids and amorphous solids. First, crystalline solids. Crystalline solid is a substance in which constituent particles like atoms, ions, or molecules are arranged in a definite geometric pattern in all the three dimensions. A crystalline solid has a sharp melting point, sharp edges, and flat surfaces in a well developed form that are usually arranged systematically. These properties are the result of high degree of internal order which extends throughout the entire three-dimensional network of a crystal. In other words, the crystalline substances are said to have long range order. This means that in crystalline solids there is a regular pattern or arrangement of particles which repeats itself periodically over the entire crystal. Elements like copper, silver, iron, sulfur, phosphorus, iodine, and compounds such as sodium chloride, potassium nitrite, zinc sulfide, phosphorus, iodine, and compounds such as sodium chloride, potassium nitrite are crystalline solids. The crystalline solids are considered as true solids. Amorphous solids. A solid is said to be amorphous solid if its constituent particles are not arranged in any regular arrangement. The amorphous solids have a random disordered arrangement of constituent particles. Amorphous substances such as glass, rubber, or plastics have properties of incompressibility and rigidity to a certain extent, but they do not have definite geometrical forms. These solids do not have ordered arrangement like that of crystalline solids. There is some orderly arrangement which does not extend beyond few angstrom units. Thus, amorphous solids are said to have short range order. This means that in amorphous solid, a regular and periodically repeating pattern is observed over short distances only. These regular patterns are scattered and in between the arrangement is disordered. These crystalline parts of an amorphous solid are known as crystallites. Amorphous solids do not have a sharp melting point. When they are heated slowly, they soften and start to flow without showing a definite and abrupt change. Therefore, sometimes these are also called pseudo solids or super cold liquids. Glass is a common example of pseudo solid. Pitch is another example of this type of solid. Okay, differences between crystalline and amorphous solids. Crystalline and amorphous solids difference in following aspects. Characteristics: geometry. A crystalline solid has a definite and regular geometry which arises due to high degree of internal order which extend in three dimensions throughout the crystal. Therefore, there exists a long range order in the crystal. An amorphous solid does not have ordered arrangement of structural units and therefore does not have any characteristic geometrical form. Even if some orderly arrangement of particles exist in a few amorphous solids, it does not extend beyond few angstrom units. Thus, unlike crystalline solids, amorphous solids do not have a long range order. मेल्टिंग पॉइंट के बेसिस पे a crystalline substance has a sharp melting point. On heating the solid, the vibrational motion of the particles increases and ultimately the particles break away from their fixed positions and move more freely and the solid changes into liquid state. This change is Abrupt in crystalline solid because of the long range order. Amorphous solids do not have sharp melting point. For example, if glass is heated gradually, it softens and melts over a range of temperature without any abrupt change. The reason is the lack of well ordered arrangement of particles in these solids. Isotropy and anisotropy. In crystalline substances, some physical properties like electrical conductivity, thermal conductivity, refractive index, and mechanical strength, etc., have different values when measured along different directions in the same crystal. So, these solids are called anisotropic. For example, the velocity of light passing through a crystal varies with the direction in which it is measured. The arises due to this arises due to the different arrangement of particles in different directions. Okay, okay. If we see in this this picture depicts that the physical properties of crystalline measured along the line CD and will be different when measured along line AB. This is because along the CD each row is made up of elements type of different. Along line AB each row is made up of one type of atoms only. Thus anisotropy is a strong evidence for the existence of high degree of internal order in crystalline solids. Amorphous solids are isotropic. The physical properties are same in all directions. Liquids and gases are isotropic. The amorphous solids our constituent particles are arranged at random in a disorderly manner. Therefore, all directions are identical and all physical properties are alike in all directions. Now, cleavage. So, crystalline solids can be cleaved along definite planes when cut with a sharp-edged knife, whereas amorphous solids cannot be cleaved along definite planes. When cut with sharp-edged knife, they undergo irregular breakage, as you can show in figure. The differences in crystalline solids and amorphous solids are summed up in table 1. Now, property के basis पे and crystalline solids and amorphous solids में difference. First, shape. Crystalline solids have sharp edges and well-defined planes. Amorphous solids do not show regularity in their external form. Order in arrangement of constituent particles. They have regularity in arrangement of constituent particles. They exhibit long-range order. There is no regularity in the arrangement of constituent particles. They possess short-range order. Melting point. They have sharp melting point. They change abruptly into liquid at a fixed temperature. They do not have sharp melting point. They gradually soften over a range of temperature. Cleavage property. Crystalline solids show clean cleavage when cut up with a sharp-edged tool. Amorphous solids undergo irregular cleavage. Heat of fusion. They have characteristic enthalpy of fusion. They do not have characteristic enthalpy of fusion. Nature. Crystalline solids are regarded as true solids. Amorphous solids are regarded as pseudo solids or supercooled liquids. Anisotropy. They are anisotropic and have different physical properties in different directions. They are isotropic and have some physical properties, same physical properties in all directions. Symmetry. Symmetry is an important property of crystals. Amorphous solids do not have any symmetry. Classification of crystals. A number of different types of binding force are involved in holding crystals together. The physical property of a crystal are very dependent on the type of bonding. Crystals are classified into 4 types depending upon the nature of constituent particles and the nature of binding forces. Crystalline solids are classified as follows: ionic solids, covalent crystals, molecular crystals, metallic crystals. First, ionic crystals. These crystals are held together by strong Coulomb attractions of the oppositely charged ions. The latic energy determined from heat of formation and heat of vaporization. Measurements agrees with that calculated on the assumption that the units of crystals are ions held together by electrostatic forces. In most of ionic crystals, cations have only anions as nearest neighbors and vice versa. In ionic crystals, there is no fixed directed force of attraction. Although the ionic crystals are strong, they are likely to be brittle. They have very little elasticity and cannot be easily bent or worked. The melting point of ionic crystals are generally high. In ionic crystals, some of the atoms may be held together by covalent bonds to form ions having definite positions and orientations in the crystal lattice. For example, in CaCO3, a carbonate ion doesn't belong to a given calcium ion, but three particular oxygen atoms are bonded to a given carbon atom. Characteristics properties of ionic solid crystals. Due to strong Coulombic forces of attraction of oppositely charged ions, the ions crystal या ionic crystal have following characteristics. Ionic crystals are hard and brittle. They have high melting and boiling point. They are insulators in solid state, but the ions occupied fixed place in crystal. The arrangement of ion in the crystal gets destroyed, and the free ions can move about the conduct electricity. They have high rates of vaporization and low vapor pressures at ordinary temperatures. Ionic crystals are soluble in water and in other polar solvents. These are very slightly soluble or insoluble in non-polar solvents like benzene, CCl4. The aqueous solution of ionic crystal is good conductor of electricity. This is because in water or any other solvent having high dielectric constant, the Coulombic forces of attraction become very weak and ions can move about. Covalent crystals. These are held together by covalent bonds in three dimensions, are strong and hard and have high melting points. The forces involved here are chemical in nature. Diamond is an example of this type of crystal. The great difference between graphite and diamond can be explained in terms of the crystal lattice. Each atom is conventionally bonded to 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals instead of 4 as in diamond. Graphite has hexagonal network in sheets like benzene rings. The CC bond distance in the plane is 142 picometer, but the distance between the atomic layer planes is 335 picometer. This rules out the possibility of covalent bonding between the layers. Thus, in two directions, the carbon atoms are tightly held as in diamond. But in the third direction, the force of attraction is much less. As a result, these layer lattice can slip over another. The crystals are flaky and yet the material is not wholly designated by a shearing action. This planar structure is part of the explanation of the lubricating action of graphite, but this action also depends on absorbed gases and the coefficient of friction is much higher in vacuum. Since a chemical bond is not possible between carbon atoms in layers, the fourth valency remains unsatisfied. Some electrons remain free or unpaired. This allows passage of electricity, thus making graphite a good conductor of electricity. Covalently bonded crystals have following properties. The covalent crystals are hard due to continuous network of covalent bonds. Due to multidimensional network, they have very high melting points. They are poor conductors of electricity and are insulators. They have high enthalpies of fusion. Now, molecular crystals. These are crystalline substances in which the constituent particles are molecules which do not carry any charge. The molecules are held together by weak van der Waals forces. In polar molecular solids like HCl, NH3, SO2, the molecules are held by strong dipole-dipole forces, whereas in non-polar molecules solid like solid H2, CO2, I2, etc., the molecules are held by weak dispersion forces or London forces. The hydrogen bonded molecular solids contain hydrogen bonds between them. For example, in case of ice, there is intermolecular hydrogen bonding. These solids are non-conductors of electricity. The important characteristics of molecular crystals are van der Waals forces are much weaker than Coulombic forces between ions in ionic crystals. The binding energy in molecular crystals, ionic crystals, therefore, is considerably less than in ionic crystals. Due to low cohesive forces, these crystals are soft and have low melting and boiling points. Since no ions or charged particles are present, these crystals are bad conductors of electricity in liquid solids as well as in dissolved states. The polar molecular crystals have higher melting and boiling point than those of non-polar molecular solids. Metallic crystals. In metallic crystals, the constituent particles are positive ions called kernels emerged in a sea of mobile electrons. These electrons are simultaneously attracted by a number of positive ions. The force of attraction which binds a metal atom kernel to a number of electrons within its sphere of influence is known as metallic bond. The free mobile electrons are responsible for high electrical and thermal conductivities of metals. When electric field is applied, these electrons flow through the network of positive kernels. Similarly, when one portion of metal is heated, the thermal energy is uniformly spread throughout the crystal by the free electrons. The bright metallic luster is also due to highly mobile electrons. When a beam of light is incident on the surface of metal, these electrons undergo oscillations and limit every energy in the form of light, and the metal limits a typical metallic luster. The electron seam model also explains the malleability and ductility of metals. The metallic bond holding kernels and valence electrons is non-directional. Thus, when the kernels are moved from one lattice site to another, the environment of each metal atom remains the same as before, since delocalized electrons are available. Thus, the metallic crystal can be flattened out into thin sheets. It is malleable, thus each with the metal ions can be moved from one lattice site to another is also responsible for the fact that metal ions are ductile and they can be drawn into wires. The main characteristics of various types of crystals are summed up. Now, crystal type ionic solids, constituent particles, positive and negative ions. Major binding forces are strong electrostatic forces. Properties होती हैं hard and brittle, high melting point, good conductors of heat and electricity in molten state, and in solution very high heats of fusion. Example NaCl, CF2, KCl, CSCl and BaSO4, ZnS. Molecular solids, small कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड्स मॉलिक्यूल्स होते हैं. वेंडरवाल फोर्सेस होते हैं. सॉफ्ट लो मेल्टिंग पॉइंट होते हैं. वोलेटाइल गुड इंसुलेटर्स. लो एंथैल्पीज ऑफ फ्यूजन सॉलिड CO2 आयोडीन सल्फर. कोवेलेंट सॉलिड्स एटम्स कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड वेरी हार्ड हाई मेल्टिंग पॉइंट एंड बॉइलिंग पॉइंट. पुअर कंडक्टर्स हाई हीट्स ऑफ फ्यूजन जैसे सिलिकॉन कार्बा डायमंड SiO2 ग्रेफाइट क्वार्ट्ज. मेटेलिक सॉलिड्स पॉजिटिव आयंस इन ए सी ऑफ delocalized electrons. Metallic bonds soft to hard, good conductors, metallic luster, ductile and malleable. Common metals like Fe, Au, Ag and alloys. Now crystallography. All crystal solids have definite shape of the crystal. The size of crystal depend on the rate at which it is formed. The slower the rate of formation, the bigger the crystal. Crystallography is branch of science which deals with the geometry, properties and structure of crystal and crystalline substances. Geometric crystallography या geometric crystallography deals with the external arrangement of crystals planes in space and the geometric shape of crystal. It is based on three basic laws given as ahead: the law of constancy of interfacial angles, the law of rationality of index or intercepts, the law of symmetries. Some terms used in crystallography. Face. The crystals are bounded by plane surfaces which are called the faces of the crystal. Edge. It is the limit or line along which the two adjacent faces of a crystal intersect. Interfacial angles. The angle between the adjacent forces of a crystal is called an interfacial angle. Crystal habit. The external shape of the crystal is the crystal habit. Form. A set of similar faces of a crystal is termed as a form. Zone. The faces of crystal are found to be present in sets which meet in parallel edges. If the planes of the crystal faces were extended, such a set of faces is called a zone. If the crystal faces is represented by F, the number of interfacial angles by A and the number of faces by E, then relation F plus A is equal to E plus 2 holds the crystals. Law of constancy of interfacial angles. According to this law, the angles between the corresponding faces of the crystal called the interfacial angles are always the same for a given substance and are independent of the shape and size of the crystal. Bigger crystals are obtained if cooling is carried out slowly so that the atoms, ions or molecules get sufficient time to settle down at proper planes in the lattice. Similarly, the presence or absence of other substances also affects the crystallization process. Thus, a substance may crystalline under different conditions to form crystals with the face of a variable size and shape. But the angles of intersection of any two adjacent forces is found to be the same as shown in figure. In this figure, the shape and size of the crystal or the crystal habit depends on the conditions of crystallization. For example, crystals of sodium chloride obtained from its aqueous solution are cubic in shape, whereas NaCl crystals grown in 50% urea solution are octahedral, but the interfacial angles in sodium chloride crystal is found to be 90° irrespective of their size and shape. So this is in accordance with the law of constancy of interfacial angles. Interfacial angles can be measured with an instrument called goniometer. A simple form of goniometer is shown in figure 6. This is goniometer. It has two flat movable arms A and B mounted at the center C of a semicircular scale. The crystal is placed between the arms A and B such that the adjacent faces of crystal touches these arms. The angle the arms make is read directly from the scale. This is the interfacial angle. However, this method is applicable only for large crystals having clear cut faces for more accurate measurements, and for small crystals the optical instruments called reflecting goniometer is used. X-ray goniometer gives the highest precision for measurement of interfacial angles. Now, symmetry in crystals. Besides interfacial angles, there is another important property of crystals called symmetry. The symmetry of a crystal can be understood in terms of elements of symmetry and symmetry operations. Symmetry operations. The symmetry operation is an operation performed around a line, plane, or a point on a body such that it brings the same or similar appearance of the body after the operation. To understand this, consider a symmetry operation such as rotation around an axis in a cube. Suppose we rotate a cube through 90° around an imaginary axis xy as shown in figure 7. This is figure. The appearance of cube is exactly similar to its appearance before rotation. In this case, the rotation about an axis is called the symmetry operation, and the axis around which the cube is rotated is called a symmetry element. There are various types of symmetry operations and will be discussed in the following topics. Elements of symmetry. The geometrical entity such as a plane line or a point with respect to which a symmetry operation can be carried out is called symmetry element. Many types of symmetry elements are used to describe the symmetry in crystals. 5 such elements of symmetry are discussed here. There are plane of symmetry, center of inversion or center of symmetry, axis of proper rotation, rotation reflection axis, and rotation inversion axis. Plane of symmetry. It may be defined as an imaginary plane passing through the center of the crystal which divides the crystal into two equal halves such as one part is the mirror image of the other. The planes of symmetry are thus termed as mirror planes. For example, in a cubic crystal there are two types of planes of symmetry. Type 1, rectangular planes of symmetry. These are the planes situated in the middle and parallel to opposite faces. These are called rectangular planes of symmetry due to their rectangular shape. As there are 6 faces of 3 pairs of opposite faces in a cubic crystal, so there such planes exist. Type 2, diagonal planes of symmetry. These are the planes touching the opposite edges. Since they lie on the diagonal of opposite faces, so they are termed as diagonal planes of symmetry. In a cubic crystal there are 12 edges or 6 pairs of opposite edges. Thus 6 such planes are possible. Second, axis of proper rotation. It is an imaginary line passing through the center of the crystal about which the crystal may be rotated such that it presents exactly the same or similar appearance more than one complete rotation of 360°. If on rotation of the crystal we get an identical configuration, the symmetry operation is called proper rotation, and the axis with respect to which rotation is carried out is called proper axis of rotation. For example, in a cubic crystal, following 3 types of axes of proper rotation are present. Axis of four-fold symmetry or a tetrad axis. Imagine a line passing through the centers of two opposite faces of a cube. On rotating the cube about this axis by 90°, it gives the same appearance 4 times during one complete rotation. Thus, axis is therefore called axis of fourfold symmetry or a tetrad axis, as there are 6 faces or 3 pairs of opposite faces in a cubic crystal. 3 such axes exist. Axis of threefold symmetry. It is an imaginary line passing through the opposite corners of a cube along the body diagonal. A cube presents the same appearance 3 times during the course of rotation through 360 degree. This is called the axis of threefold rotation or a triad axis. There are 8 corners of a cube, hence there are 4 such axes possible. Now, axis of twofold symmetry. It is an imaginary line passing through the centers of the two diagonally opposite edges of a cube. On rotating the cube around the axis, the cube presents same appearance 2 times in the course of one complete rotation. Such an axis is called axis of twofold symmetry or a dyad axis. There are 12 edges or 6 diagonally opposite pairs of edges in a cube. Hence, there are 6 edges of twofold symmetry in a cube. In a cube, following axes of symmetry are possible: axis of four-fold symmetry 3, axis of three-fold symmetry 4, axis of two-fold symmetry 6. Thus, in all, there are 13 axes of symmetry in a cubic crystal. In general, if the similar appearance of a molecule is repeated by rotating it through an angle of 360 degree by n around an imaginary axis, the axis is called n-fold axis. Center of symmetry. Center of symmetry of a crystal is an imaginary point within the crystal such that any line drawn through it intersects the opposite faces of the crystal at equal distances. It may be pointed out that only one center of symmetry is possible for a crystal. Rotation reflection axis of symmetry. When the molecule or a crystal is rotated about n-fold axis or proper rotation followed by reflection in a plane perpendicular to the axis, then the axis is called n-fold rotation reflection axis. The new configuration obtained is not identical to the original but in the enantiomorphous. The symmetry operation is performed on the letter P. Rotation inversion axis of symmetry. When the rotation of a molecule or crystal about n-fold axis is followed by the inversion through center of symmetry, the axis is called n-fold rotation inversion axis. The new configuration obtained is not identical as the original one but is enantiomorphous. Okay. The rotation axis which when performed leave the molecule or crystal in identical configuration as the original one is called proper rotation axis, whereas the rotation which gives rise to enantiomorphous configuration of the molecule or crystal is called imperfect rotation. The rotation axis is called improper rotation axis. For example, rotation reflection axis and rotation inversion axis are improper rotation axis. The law of symmetry. This law states that the crystals of the same substance always possess same elements of symmetry. For example, a cubic crystal always possesses 23 elements of symmetry. These are as follows: rectangular planes of symmetry are 3, diagonal planes of symmetry are 6, four-fold axis of symmetry 3, three-fold axis of symmetry 4, two-fold axis of symmetry are 6, and center of symmetry is 1. Total is 23. Crystallographic axis and axial ratio. A crystal has a regular pattern of constituent particles. These particles are orderly placed within the crystal at the point called lattice points. At a plane passing through a large number of lattice points is called the crystal plane. In order to study the structure of the crystal, we need to describe the orientation of faces and planes passing through the lattice points in the crystal. Crystallographic axis. To describe the orientation and relative direction of the faces and crystal planes, 3 suitable axes are chosen which meet at a point, say O. Okay. And such axes can be chosen in a number of ways depending upon the symmetry of the crystal. Usually the lines coinciding with the or parallel to the edges between principal faces are chosen to represent these axes. For example, in a cubic crystal, the 3 mutually perpendicular lines meeting at a point are selected as crystallographic axes. Thus, crystallographic axes are the 3 lines which coincide with or are parallel to the edges of a crystal and meet at a point. Okay, axial ratio. A suitable plane called the standard or unit plane is selected so that it cuts all the crystallographic axes. For example, in figure 13, OX, OY, OZ represent three crystallographic axes and the unit plane ABC cuts these axes at A, B, C respectively. The intercepts made by this plane are OA is equals to small a, OB is equals to small b, OC is equals to small c. The ratio of the intercepts are A ratio B ratio C is called the axial ratio. Thus, the axial ratio may be defined as the ratio of the intercepts made by a unit plane on the crystallographic axis. It may be noted that the actual lengths of the intercepts A, B and C depends upon the position of origin O, but their ratio always remains constant for a given crystal. In other words, for a given crystal, its axial ratio is always fixed. Axial ratio is an important feature in describing the shape of a crystal. According to convention, we write B is equals to 1 while expressing the axial ratio for a crystal. For example, axial ratio of copper sulfate crystal A ratio B ratio C ratio is equals to 0.5715 ratio 1 ratio 0.5575. The angles between the axes opposite to the intercepts small a, small b and small c are designated as alpha, beta and gamma respectively. When the crystallographic axes are chosen as lines coinciding with or parallel to the edges of the principal faces of the crystal, then the angles alpha, beta and gamma become the same as the interfacial angles. The angles alpha, beta, gamma along with the axial ratio A ratio, B ratio, C ratio are called the elements of the crystals. Hall's law of rational indices. The geometry of a crystal may be completely specified with the help of crystallographic axes meeting at a point or origin. These axes are selected in such a way that all the crystal's planes either intercept them at definite distance from the origin or are parallel to some of the axes, intercept some axes at infinity. Huesl proposed that a given crystal plane could be described in terms of intercepts along these axes. According to Hues's law of rational indicates the intercepts of any plane or face of a crystal on the crystallographic axis are either equal to the unit intercepts ABC or some simple whole number multiple of them, let LA, MB and C, or where L, M and are simple integrals like 1, 2, 3 or 1 or 2 intercepts may be infinitely when the crystal's planes are parallel to 1 or 2 axes. Consider a plane KLM as in figure 13. This is figure. The intercepts made by the plane KLM are 2A, 2B and 3C. These intercepts are in the ratio 2A ratio 2B ratio to 3C. Whereas 2, 2 and 3 are simple whole number multiples of those of the unit plane ABC. Now consider a cubic crystal and suppose that the origin of crystallographic axis lies at O. The center of symmetry of the cube, the axes OX, OY and OZ are parallel to the edges of the cube. Further, let the axis OX cut the faces EFGH at K and axis OY and OZ cut the faces at M and L respectively. If KLM is taken as a unit plane, then OK, OM and OL are the intercepts made by unit plane or three crystallographic axes OX, OY and OZ. The face EFGH cuts the x-axis at K and makes the intercept equal to that made up by the unit plane. However, face EFGH does not cut y-axis and z-axis because it is parallel to these axes. Now, designation of lattice planes. Crystal planes can be designated in following two ways. Wells indices. In this method, the orientation of a plane is described in terms of the intercepts made by the plane on three crystallographic axes. The coefficients of A, B and C are intercepts of the unit plane. Then the intercepts NA, NB and N"C made by a plane are the integral multiple of A, B and C. The coefficients of A, B and C in this case are known as Wess indices of a plane. It may be noted that the Wess indices are not always integral numbers. They may have fractional values or as infinity. Wess's indices are no more in use and have been replaced by Miller indices. The Miller indices of a plane are obtained by taking the reciprocals of coefficients of intercepts and multiplying throughout by the smallest number. The LCM of denominators to express the reciprocals as integers. The integers thus obtained are called Miller indices. They are represented as HKL. Thus, Miller indices are the reciprocals of the coefficients of intercepts expressed as integers. In other words, Miller indices of a phase are inversely proportional to the intercepts of a phase on the crystallographic axis expressed as integers. Miller indices may be defined as the reciprocals of the coefficient of the intercepts of a phase on the crystallographic axis expressed as integers. For example, consider a lattice plane KLM in a crystal as shown in figure 15. This plane has intercepts OK, OL and OM along X, Y and Z axis at distances 2a, 4b, 3c respectively. In this case, the coefficients of A, B and C 2, 4 and 3 are Wedge indices of the plane. The reciprocals of the coefficients of A, B and C 1 by 2, 1 by 4 and 1 by 3. LCM of 2, 4, 3 is equals to 12. On multiplying the reciprocals by 12, we get 6, 3, 4. These are Miller indices of the phase KLM. Therefore, this phase is represented by 634. The Miller indices of a phase or a plane may also be defined as the integers which give the ratio of the intercepts of the unit plane to those of the given plane expressed as integers. Some important points about Miller indices. The intercepts made up by the unit plane are A, B, C. Their coefficients are 1, 1, 1. Hence, the unit plane is always represented as 1, 1, 1. If a phase does not cut a particular axis at all, then the intercepts on that axis is taken as infinity. Its Miller indices is 1 by infinity is equals to 0. For example, a phase doesn't cut y-axis and its intercepts on 3 axes are 2a, infinity b, 3c. Then taking reciprocals of coefficients, we get 1 by 2, 1 by infinity and 1 by 3. Multiplying throughout by LCM 6, we get 302. So the phase is represented as 302. Similarly, if a phase cuts only x-axis at intercept A but does not cut y and z-axis at all, its Miller indicates 100 and phase is represented by 100. If a phase makes negative intercepts, the phase cuts the axis when it is extended in opposite direction, then the Miller indices is represented by putting a bar over it. For example, in figure 15, the intercept made up by ABCD on x, y, z axis, also the phase does not cut y axis and z axis at all. Then the Miller indices of phase ABCD are written as 100 and the phase is represented as 1-00. Miller indices of the faces of a cubic crystal. Consider a cubic crystal as shown in figure 14, in which the origin of crystallographic axis coincides with the center of symmetry of the cube. As discussed above, we can write the Miller indices of various faces of a cube. Okay, the use of Miller indices to specify the directions and intercepts of the crystal planes parallel to z-axis is illustrated. Okay, these are 3 planes having following intercepts, so we can find the Miller intercepts or Miller insides. In general, the Miller insides of a plane can be expressed as HKL, where HK and L are the reciprocals of the intercepts expressed in terms of ratio of the intercepts to those of lengths of unit cell. HKL are whole integral numbers. Let A, B and C be the lengths of unit plane. In figure 15, the plane KLM cuts the intercepts OA, OB, OC on 3 axes. Then HKL are defined as H is equals to A upon intercepts of the plane along x-axis. K is equals to B upon intercepts of the plane along y-axis. L is equals to C upon intercepts of the plane along z-axis. In the given plane ABC, H is equals to A upon OA, K is equals to B upon OB, L is equals to C upon OC. The intercepts of plane KLM are 2A, 4B and 3C. The coefficients of intercepts are 2, 4 and 3. Their reciprocals are 1 by 2, 1 by 4 and 1 by 3. Multiplying by 12 LCM, we got 6, 3, 4. The plane is therefore designated as 6, 3, 4 plane. Here H is equals to 6, K is equals to 3 and L is equals to 4. Now, interplanar distance between HKL planes. Within the crystal, there are a set of parallel planes having Miller insides HKL. One of the planes passes through the origin. If the perpendicular distance from the origin to the nearest plane of mirror insides is represented as DHKL, then this is also equal to the interplanar spacing between the planes of Miller insides HKL. This is shown in this figure. Let alpha, beta and gamma be the angles which the perpendicular DHKL makes with the three axes. Then cos AOD is equals to cos alpha, cos BOD is equals to cos beta, cos COD is equals to cos gamma. Squaring and adding equations 1, 2 and 3, we will get cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma is equals to d square HKL h square upon a square, d square HKL k square upon b square, d square HKL L square upon C square. In case of cubic, orthogonal and tetragonal system, alpha is equals to beta is equals to gamma is equals to 90 degree. Therefore, cos alpha square plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma is equals to 1. 1 is equals to h square by h by a ka square d square HKL plus k by b ka square d square HKL plus L by c ka square d square HKL. After this, we will get DHKL is equals to a by under root h square plus k square plus L square. For a tetragonal system, a is equals to b but not is equals to c. Then DHKL is equals to a by under root h square plus k square plus c square upon under root L square. For an orthorhombic system, a is not is equal to b is not is equal to c. तो DHKL क्या हो जाएगा ए स्क्वेयर अंडर रूट ए स्क्वेयर अपॉन एच स्क्वेयर प्लस बी स्क्वेयर अपॉन के स्क्वेयर प्लस सी स्क्वेयर अपॉन एल स्क्वेयर. Alternative method for calculation of interplanar distance. The general formula for interplanar distance is DHKL is equals to a upon under root h square plus k square plus L square. This formula can be derived geometrically as follows. Consider a two-dimensional orthogonal lattice where a is not is equal to b. Let AB be a plane with Miller insides a by h on a axis and b by k on b axis. Draw a perpendicular starting from origin O to the plane AB in this right angle triangle OAB. AB is equals to under root a by h का square plus b by k का square. आप देख सकते हैं इस ट्रायंगल के अंदर. For similar triangles OAP and OAB, OP upon OA is equals to OB upon AB. OP is equals to D, OA is equals to A by H, OB is equals to B by K and AB is equals to under root A by H का square plus B by K का square. Putting all these values in equation 2, we will get B upon K upon under root A by H का square plus B by K का square. अगर स्क्वायर कर देंगे तो लास्ट में हमें एक वैल्यू मिलेगी 1 by D square is equals to H square upon A square plus B K square upon B square. For a plane in 3 dimensionals with the Miller insides HKL, we can write equation 1 upon D square HKL is equals to H square upon A square plus K square upon B square plus L square upon C square. For a cubic lattice जहाँ पर A is equals to B is equals to C, तो क्या हो जाएगा H square plus K square plus L square upon A square. DHKL कितनी आ जाएगी A upon under root H square plus K square plus L square. For tetragonal lattice जहाँ पे A is equals to B but not is equal to C, 1 upon D square HKL कितनी होगी H square plus K square upon A square plus L square upon C square. For A is equals to B but not is equals to C, H square upon A square plus K square upon B square plus L square upon C square. From above expression, it is clear that if Miller insides are multiplied by factor n, then the interplanar distance reduces by the same factor. This fact is illustrated in the following figure, figure 19, section 1 and set 2. The Miller insides of plane in set 2 is 220 and that of set 1 is 110. It is clear that the distance between 220 planes is half that of 110 planes. Some important conclusions are the Miller insides imply that the unit distance A is divided into H equal parts, B is divided into K equal parts and C is divided into L equal parts. A smaller value of H in HKL means that the plane cuts x-axis at a larger distance. At a lesser value of K means plane cuts y-axis at a large distance. Same holds true for L and Z-axis. The smaller value of Miller insides H in HKL also indicates the given plane is more nearly parallel to A-axis or x-axis, whereas smaller value of K indicates that the plane is more nearly parallel to B-axis. The value H is equals to 0 means that the given plane intersects x-axis at infinity Hence 0KL plane is parallel to x-axis. Similarly H0L plane is parallel to b-axis. Now crystal systems. The symmetry elements used to describe the symmetry of crystal included axis of rotation, plane of symmetry, and center of symmetry. It can be shown theoretically that there can be 32 different combinations of elements of symmetry of a crystal. These various combinations of elements of symmetry possible around a single point in the crystal are called crystal classes or point groups or crystallographic groups. Thus there are 32 point groups. Some of these point groups have same axial ratios and angles. Hence these 32 point groups have been grouped together into 7 crystal systems on the basis of axial ratios A ratio, B ratio, C, and angle alpha, beta, gamma. Since the external geometry of the crystal can be expressed in terms of axial ratios and angles, hence based on external geometry on the crystal, they have been classified into 7 groups called crystallographic systems. These systems along with their symmetry elements and characteristics are listed in table 4. 7 सिस्टम होते हैं क्यूबिक में A इज इक्वल्स टू B इज इक्वल्स टू C, अल्फा इज इक्वल्स टू बीटा इज इक्वल्स टू गामा इज इक्वल्स टू 90 डिग्री, प्लेन ऑफ सिमेट्री 9, एक्सिस ऑफ सिमेट्री 13, पॉइंट ग्रुप्स 5 होते हैं. एग्जांपल NaCl KCl. टेट्रागोनल में A इज इक्वल्स टू B बट नॉट इज इक्वल्स टू C, अल्फा बीटा गामा all are equal to 90 degree. Axis of symmetry are 5, plane of symmetry are 3. ऑर्थोरोम्बिक में क्या होता है, अल्फा बीटा गामा 90 डिग्री के बराबर होते हैं बट A B C आर नॉट इक्वल टू ईच अदर. प्लेन ऑफ सिमेट्री 3, एक्सिस ऑफ सिमेट्री 3. मोनोक्लिनिक में क्या होता है, A नॉट इज इक्वल्स टू B नॉट इज इक्वल्स टू C, अल्फा गामा इज इक्वल्स टू 90 डिग्री बट नॉट इज इक्वल्स टू बीटा. Plane of symmetry 1, axis of symmetry 1, point groups 3, and example are CaSO4, 2H2O, Na2SO4, 10H2O. Triclinic, A is not is equals to B, B is not is equals to C, alpha is not is equals to beta, not is equals to gamma, not is equals to 90 degree. Plane of symmetry are 0, axis of symmetry are 0. पॉइंट ग्रुप्स कितने होते हैं, 2 CuSO4, एग्जाम्पल है 5H2O, K2Cr2O7. हेक्सागोनल में A इज इक्वल्स टू B बट नॉट इज इक्वल्स टू C, अल्फा इज इक्वल्स टू बीटा इज इक्वल्स टू 90 डिग्री एंड गामा शायद 120 डिग्री होता है इसके अंदर. प्लेन्स ऑफ सिमेट्री 7, एक्सिस ऑफ सिमेट्री 7, Si2 ग्रेफाइट, आइस, मैग्नीज, जिंक, कैडमियम एंड जेडनो आर द एग्जाम्पल्स. ट्राइगोनल और रोम्बोहेड्रल, A, B, C are equal to each other. Alpha, beta, gamma are not is equal to 90 degree. Plane of symmetry 7, axis of symmetry 7, point groups 5, CaCO3, ICI, calcite, NO3, AS, SB and BI are examples. Isomorphism and polymorphism. The crystals which are closely similar in shape are called isomorphous. This phenomena is called isomorphism. The isomorphism crystals belong to same crystal system. Some crystalline substances have similar chemical composition. Sodium phosphate and sodium arsenate are examples. These possess same crystal shape. Similarly, sodium nitrate and calcium sulfate are another example of isomorphous substances. Both have rhombohedral crystals. Similarly, there are many substances which occur in more than one crystalline form. For example, carbon exists in 2 crystalline forms, diamond and graphite. Sulfur also exists in 2 crystalline forms, sulfur rhombic and sulfur monoclinic. The phenomena in which the same substance exists in more than one crystalline form possessing different physical properties is called polymorphism. When polymorphism is exhibited by elements, it is referred to as allotropy. The different crystalline forms of same substance are formed under different conditions of temperature and pressure. The temperature at which one crystalline form changes to another is called transition temperature. The theoretical density rho of a crystal can be calculated using the relation rho is equals to n small n into capital M upon capital N A into V, where n is the number of atoms, molecules or ions in the unit cell, M is the molar mass of the substance, N is the Avogadro number, and V is the volume of the unit cell. Spacelatic and unit cell. The classification of crystals on the basis of geometric considerations tells only the external shape of the crystals. However, the study of internal structure of crystals is showing that their constituent particles are arranged in definite regular pattern in 3 dimensions. The positions of these particles relative to each other are shown by points called lattice points. The arrangement of infinite sets of these points is called space lattice. Thus, a space lattice or crystal lattice is a regular arrangement of the constituent particles of a crystalline solid in 3 dimensional space within the crystal. Thus, lattice points are shown as the black circles, unit cell. If we connect the lattice points by lines, it is observed that the smallest 3 dimensional portion is repeated over and again in the whole crystal lattice. The smallest repeating unit is called the unit cell. Thus, a unit cell is the smallest portion of the space lattice which possesses all the elements of symmetry of the lattice and which, when repeated over and again in 3 dimensions, produces complete crystal lattice. In fact, the space lattice is considered to consist of an infinite number of unit cells. The unit cells of a cubic crystal lattice is shown by solid lines. It may be noted that the unit cell has all symmetry elements as possessed by the big space lattice. For example, the unit lattice of a cubic crystal will also have its constituent particles arranged in a tiny cube. It may be pointed out that a space lattice consists of the regular different 3 dimensional pattern of lattice points, and note the lines which join them. The lines are drawn to represent the axis to specify the position of various points in the lattice. The unit cell for a lattice may be described by specifying the lengths of its sides, जैसे कि along x, y and z axis respectively, and the angles alpha, beta and gamma between the pair of edges. Absence of 5-fold, 7-fold or higher fold rotation axis in crystals. In the 7 crystal system as shown in table 4, it is seen that there is no crystal system in which 5-fold, 7-fold etc. rotation axis is present. This is due to the fact that the crystal lattice is built up by repetition of unit cells in 3 dimensions. In the building of space lattice, the faces of each unit cell must touch the faces of adjacent unit cells without leaving any vacant spaces in between. Such close packing of unit cells is possible only when the unit cell has 2-fold, 3-fold, 4-fold, 6-fold axis of symmetry, but is not possible when the unit cell has 5-fold, 7-fold symmetry axis. This is clear from figure 21, where 2-dimensional arrangements of hexagons and pentagons is shown. In figure 22, it is clear that there are vacant spaces when pentagons are arranged. Hence, 5-fold axis of symmetry is not favored in crystals. The 14 Bravais lattice. Okay, the French crystallographer Auguste Bravais studied the internal structure of crystals and showed that in a unit cell, the lattice points can be present not only at the corners but may be placed at the center of the faces or the center of the cell. In 1848, Bravais showed that there are 14 basic arrangements possible for arranging similar points in regular 3-dimension portion. This gives rise to 14 different types of lattice are called Bravais lattice as shown in table 5. The crystals exhibit 4 types of Bravais lattice depending upon the shapes of unit cell. Simple or primitive unit cell. It has points at all the corners of the unit cell. A primitive cubic cell is shown in figure 22 का A. It may be pointed out that this unit cell consists of one atom at each of the 8 corners. Since each atom at the corner is shared by 8 unit cells, therefore the number of atoms per unit primitive or simple cubic unit cell is 8 into 1 by 8 is equals to 1. सेकेंड है बॉडी सेंटर्ड यूनिट सेल BCC जिसको बोलते हैं. The unit cell with the point at the corners and at the center of the unit cell is shown as body centered cell. A body centered cubic cell is shown in figure 22B. There are 8 atoms at the corners, therefore 1 at the center. Therefore the number of atoms per unit cell is 2. Face centered unit cell FCC. In this type of unit cell, the points are located at the corners as well as center of each face of the cell. A face-centered cubic unit cell is shown in figure 22C. In a face-centered cubic unit cell, there are 8 atoms at the corners and 6 at the faces. Therefore, the number of atoms per unit is 4. Fourth है end-centered unit cell. In end-centered unit cell, there are points at the corners and at the centers of two end faces. For example, in orthorhombic unit cell, there are 8 points at the corners and 2 points at the end faces. For example, in end-centered orthorhombic unit cell, there are 8 atoms at the corners and 2 at the center of end faces, so that the number of atoms per unit cell is 2. These are the structures: simple, cubic, face centered, body centered. This space groups. We have studied that theoretically there are 32 possible ways of arranging elements of symmetry around a chosen point. However, due to three-dimensional nature of a crystal lattice, we must also consider of symmetry operations involving translation. There are two additional symmetry elements which can create same effect as cased by axis of rotation and mirror planes. These symmetry elements are screw axis and glide plane. These two translatory symmetry elements, namely screw axis and glide plane, when combined with the symmetry operations, generate 230 different groups. These are known as space groups. The space groups may be defined as the 230 different arrangements of elements of symmetry about a lattice point in the crystal. Every crystal belongs to one of these space groups. The number of space groups associated with seven crystal systems are given in table 6. ये दी गई है केवल 7 सिस्टम्स की. क्यूबिक 36 नंबर ऑफ स्पेस ग्रुप्स, टेट्रागोनल में 68, ऑर्थोरोम्बिक 59, मोनोक्लिनिक में 13, ट्राइक्लिनिक में 2, ट्राइगोनल और रोम्बोहेड्रल में 25, हेक्सागोनल में 27, टोटल 230. diffraction of X-rays by crystals. On the basis of external shape, the crystals have been divided into 7 crystal systems and 14 Bravais lattices. However, the internal structure of the crystal, location of each constituent particle, could be determined only by X-ray diffraction by crystals. Von Loh was awarded Physics Nobel Prize in 1914 for his discovery of X-rays by crystals. X-ray diffraction is highly useful method for determining the internal structure and dimensions of crystals. Loh's method, based on the fact that the interparticle distances in a crystal are of the same order as the wavelength of X-rays. Max von Loh in 1912 suggested that the crystals could act as a three-dimensional diffraction grating for incident X-rays. Thus, if a beam of X-rays are passed through the crystal, the rays will penetrate through it and get scattered by the electrons of atoms, molecules or ions present in the crystal. Hence, a diffraction pattern would be observed as shown in figure. See the figure. In Loh's method, continuous beam of X-rays having different wavelengths is made incident on the crystal. The X-rays get reflected from various planes of the crystal. Finally, these rays reflected from different layers undergo interference, both constructive and destructive, to produce a diffraction pattern. Thus, the crystal acts as a three-dimensional diffraction grating for the beam of incident X-rays. The diffraction pattern can be recorded on photographic film placed behind the crystal as shown in this. The developed film shows a series of spots arranged in a symmetrical pattern around the central beam. The arrangement of these spots is called Loew's spot. The Loew's diagram for NaCl is shown in figure 25. The arrangement of Loew's spots, Loew's diagrams, is highly characteristics of the internal structure of the crystal. From the positions of the Loew's spots, the size and shape of the unit cell can be determined. However, the analysis and interpretation of Loew's diagram is quite difficult. A much simpler approach based on X-ray diffraction from crystals has been put forward by W.H. Bragg. The Bragg's equation. For the study of crystal structure is a simple equation was developed by W.H. Bragg. Bragg proposed that a crystal is composed of series of equidistant parallel planes which act as reflection grating for incident X-rays. For a given stack of planes, the reflection of X-rays occurs only at certain angles that are determined by the wavelength of X-rays and the perpendicular distance between the adjacent planes. The relationship between these three variables in Bragg's equation, which may be derived referring to Figure 26. The horizontal lines represent planes in a crystal separated by the distance d. The plane ABC is perpendicular to the incident beam and the plane LMN is perpendicular to the reflected beam. A beam of X-rays with wavelength lambda is incident on the crystal at angle theta. Some of these rays like AO is reflected along OL from the plane 1 of the crystal at the same angle theta. On the other hand, some rays like BS, CE, etc. penetrate into the crystal and get reflected from the successive planes. The initial part of the two waves AO and BF are in phase. The wave BF reflected from plane 2 travels a greater distance than wave AO reflected from plane 1. Drawing perpendiculars OF and OG from O to the lines BS and SM respectively, it can be seen that the extra distance FSG travelled by ray BS is equal to Fs plus Sg. For constructive interference, the rays reflected from successive planes must be in phase and reinforce each other to produce diffraction pattern. Therefore, the part of reflected rays OL and GM must be in phase to give constructive interference. This is possible when the path difference is a whole number multiple of the wavelength. This occurs when Fs plus Sg is equals to n lambda, where n is an integer which can be 1, 2, 3, etc. Angle FOS is equals to angle AOR is equals to theta. Angle GOS is equals to angle LOT is equals to theta. Since the two right angle triangles OFS and OCG are congruent, Fs is equals to Sg. इक्वेशन 1 को हम राइट कर सकते हैं 2Fs is equals to n lambda. For by putting all these, we have got the value n lambda is equals to 2d sin theta, where d is the perpendicular distance between adjacent planes. Equation 3 is Bragg's equation. Theta is called the Bragg's angle and n is the order of reflection. This equation gives the relationship of distance between planes and the angle at which the reflected beam has a maximum intensity for a given wavelength lambda. The reflection corresponding to n is equals to 1 is called the first order reflection. The reflection corresponding to n is equals to 2, the second order reflection, and so on. For a particular sets of plane, d is constant, and using monochromatic X-rays, lambda is also constant. It is seen from equation 4 that higher order reflections will be obtained for larger value of theta. Thus, by gradually increasing the value of theta, a number of positions are observed corresponding to the values of n is equals to 1, 2, 3, etc. Where the intensity of reflected beam is maximum, the diffraction pattern thus obtained where contained maxima corresponding to n is equals to 1, 2, 3. These are called diffraction maxima of first order, second order, and third order respectively. Higher order reflections are less intense than the lower order ones. It is seen from equation 4 that the higher order reflections will be obtained for larger value of theta. Also, according to this equation, when lambda is greater than or equal to 2d, the value of sin theta comes out to be greater than or equal to 1, which is not allowed. So, no solution exists when lambda is greater than or equal to 2d. Thus, light will pass without diffraction by the crystal planes. Therefore, reflections of higher order are less intense than the lower ones. The experimental setup. This is the experimental setup. The X-ray diffraction apparatus used by Bragg in the study of crystal is called Bragg's spectrometer. A schematic diagram of this apparatus is shown. This is the Bragg spectrometer. Using Bragg spectrometer, the reflection angles and the corresponding intensities of the reflected beams are measured. This method involves following steps. X-rays are generated in the X-ray tube by bombarding cathode rays on a target metal T. The generated X-rays are passed through a slit and filter so as to obtain a narrow monochromatic beam. This beam is then allowed to strike a single crystal placed on a turntable. The turntable can be moved over a circular scale. The reflected beam is passed into an ionization chamber C containing sulfur dioxide gas. The reflected rays ionize amount of sulfur dioxide gas depending upon their intensity. The extent of ionization of gas is proportional to the intensity of X-rays and is measured as intensity of electric current with an electrometer connected to the ionization chamber. The crystal face is rotated by rotating the turntable and changing the angle of incidence to receive the reflected beam into ionization chamber. The chamber is rotated through double the angle through which the crystal face is rotated. For a particular crystal face, there are set of theta values which are satisfied Bragg's equation and for which the intensity is maximum. These correspond to different values of n. Knowing n, lambda and theta, we can calculate d, the distance between successive planes of one type in a crystal. The plot of intensities of diffracted beam for various angles of incidence is drawn from this graph. The angles corresponding to first, second and third maximums are noted and the value of d can be calculated using Bragg's equation. Verification of Bragg's equation. A plot is drawn between intensity of reflected rays and angles of incidence theta for plane of NaCl. Figure 28. The first, second and third maxima occur at angle 5.9 degree, 11.85 degree and 18.15 degree. The sine values of these angles are 0.123, 0.205 and 0.312 respectively, and the whole number ratio between these values are 1:2:3. Thus proving that first, second and third maxima occurs for n is equals to 1, 2, 3 respectively, thus proving that the Bragg's equation is correct and valid. Bragg's equation in terms of DHKL. According to Bragg's equation, n lambda is equals to 2d sin theta, d is equals to n lambda upon 2 sin theta. For a particular plane of a crystal, it is more convenient to express higher order reflections in terms of first order reflection from the planes with higher values. For example, a second order reflection from a 1, 1, 1 plane may be written as first order reflection n is equals to 1 from 2, 2, 2 plane. Lambda is equals to 2 DHKL sin theta, where DHKL is the perpendicular distance between adjacent planes having the Miller insides HKL. Using Bragg's equation, following parameters can be calculated. Calculation of interplanar distance d in the crystal. Bragg's equation is n lambda is equals to 2d sin theta, d is equals to n lambda upon 2 sin theta for a plane HKL of the crystal. Knowing the angle theta for first order reflection n is equals to 1 and the wavelength lambda of the incident X-rays, the interplanar distance DHKL can be calculated. Calculating the age length of the unit cell. From the knowledge of DHKL, we can calculate the age length of a particular unit cell. For example, for a cubic system, the interplanar distance is given as DHKL is equals to A upon H square plus K square plus L square. Knowing the value of DHKL using equations above, the age length A of the cubic cell can be calculated. Calculation of wavelength of incident X-rays. If the age length of the unit cell is known, the interplanar distance can be calculated using equation 3. Knowing the values of theta for the first order reflection n is equals to 1, the wavelength of the incident X-rays can be calculated using equation 1. Similarly, knowing values of lambda and DHKL, the values of theta can be calculated for given value of n by using equation 1. The calculations of all these parameters is illustrated in the following solved examples. Now this is what interplanar distances for cubic lattice. This is showing some interplanar cubic distances. In a face centered cubic lattice, the Miller insides are 2, 2, 0, 2, 0, 0 and 1, 1. Here the atoms are located at the center of each face, hence a plane can be drawn halfway between the 1, 0, 0 planes of the simple cubic lattice. This gives rise to planes with intercepts 1/2, A infinity, B infinity, C or Miller insides 2, 0, 0. Similarly, in case of vertical diagonal planes, we can draw another plane containing atoms halfway between the 1, 1, 0 planes of the simple cubic lattice as shown. The intercepts of this plane are 1/2 A, 1/2 B and infinity C. Therefore, Miller insides are 2, 2 and 0. Since all the face-centered atoms are contained in the 1, 1, 1 plane itself, thus no new planes arise in this case. Thus, Miller insides of the 3 planes in face-centered cubic lattice are 2, 0, 0, 2, 2, 0 and 1, 1, 1. The interplanar distances for these planes are calculated using equation D2, 0, 0 is equals to A upon under root 2 square is equals to A by 2. D220 is equals to A by 2 root 2. D11 is equals to A by root 3. Therefore, रेशो क्या होगा 1:0.707 रेशो 1.154. For a body-centered cubic lattice, the Miller insides are 200, 100 and 222. On the similar lines as for FCC lattice, the planes corresponding to 100, 110 and 220 in body-centered cubic lattice are 220, 110 and 222. For this ratio will be comes out 1 ratio 4.414 ratio 0.577. Utility of interplanar distance DHKL. Using equation 2, the interplanar distance HKL can be calculated. Knowing DHKL, we can determine edge length of a cubic cell, types of cubic lattice, determination of edge length A of a cubic cell. For a cubic system, the value of DHKL is given by A upon under root h square plus k square plus l square. DHKL can be calculated using Bragg's equation n lambda is equals to 2d sin theta. Putting the value of DHKL in equation 1, we can calculate the edge length A of a cubic unit cell. Further, knowing the edge length of cubic unit cell from Bragg's equation, we can calculate the density of the crystal as follows. Density rho of a crystal is given by rho is equals to small m into capital M upon Avogadro number multiplied by volume. Okay, volume of a cubic unit cell is A cube. In a simple cubic cell, the number of atoms n is equals to 8 multiplied by 1 by 8 is equals to 1. FCC के अंदर कितने हो जाएंगे 4, BCC के अंदर 2. The substituting the values of A cube calculated unit Bragg solution या unit Bragg equation. And depending upon the type of unit cell Na and M in equation 2, the density of crystal can be calculated. Now determination of type of cubic lattice. Miller insides for 3 types of cubic lattice: simple cubic lattice, face-centered cubic lattice, body-centered cubic lattice. The interplanar distances are calculated using the equation DHKL is equals to A upon under root h square plus k square plus L square. The ratio of interplanar distances for 3 types of cubic lattice is as follows. Simple cubic lattice is D100 ratio D110 ratio D11 are equal to 1 ratio 0.0707 ratio 1.577. face-centered cubic lattice में D200 ratio D220 ratio D111 are equal to 1 ratio 0.707 ratio 1.154. बॉडी सेंटर्ड क्यूबिक सिस्टम के अंदर क्या होगा रेशो 1 रेशो 0.414 रेशो 1.577 रेशो. To find out the type of cubic lattice, the reflections from various planes are observed and the corresponding angles are determined by X-ray diffractions. The interplanar distance D is calculated using Bragg's equation. D is equals to n lambda upon 2 sin theta. The ratio of interplanar distance of 3 planes is calculated. This ratio is matched with the theoretically calculated ratios and hence the type of crystal lattice can be determined. Determination of crystal structure of NaCl, KCl and CSCl. Sodium chloride, potassium chloride and cesium chloride belong to cubic crystal system. The X-ray diffraction studies for NaCl crystal reveal that the first order reflections n is equals to 1 from 3 faces of crystal are observed at 5.9 degree, 8.4 degree and 5.2 degree respectively. Applying Bragg's equation, we get D is equals to n lambda upon 2 sin theta. For n is equals to 1, it can be written as D is equals to 1 upon 2 sin theta. Further, as lambda is constant in a given experiment, therefore the ratio of 3 interplanar spacings will be given by 9.71 ratio, 6.85 ratio, 10.64 ratio. This will comes out 1 ratio 0.705 and 1.096. This ratio is close to that of face-centered cubic lattice, hence the crystal of NaCl as a face-centered cubic lattice. Similarly, the calculations for KCl show that it belongs to face-centered cubic structure, whereas CSCl crystal as body-centered cubic lattice. The powder method, Bragg's method and Law's method suffer from the disadvantage that they require well-formed single crystal for its use. In many compounds, it is very difficult to obtain large single crystals. Debye and Scherer in 1940 devised a diffraction method in which the sample is used in very fine powder form. The sample is taken in a thin walled glass tube which is rotated so that tiny crystals of the sample are randomly orientated. The powder can be considered to be a collection of large number of crystal orientated at all possible angles to the beam. Some of the crystals have their 100 planes properly orientated, some other will have their 111 plane properly orientated for reflection so as to satisfy the Bragg's equation. The powder provides all types of lattice planes for reflection of X-rays, therefore it behaves like a single crystal, not only about one axis but about all possible axes simultaneously. A monochromatic X-ray beam is made incident on the sample. The scattered rays are allowed to fall on a circular photographic film placed around the sample. The X-rays are scattered from the sets of planes to produce diffraction maxima from all planes simultaneously. As a result of diffraction from all sets of lattice planes, many diffraction maxima are obtained, which are photographed on a film kept behind the sample in form of a circular arc. For a set of parallel planes making an angle theta with the incident beam of X-rays, the reflected beam from these planes will make an angle 2 theta with the reflected beam, keeping theta constant on rotation of these planes about the incident beam. The diffracted beam will appear in the form of a cone. The curved film around the crystal shows a pattern of curved or straight lines as shown in figure 32. The diffracted rays obtained form concentric ones originating from the powder on a thin strip of photographic film. This appear as arcs on either side of the bright spot in the center. Each pair of arcs is equidistant from the center spot. Interpretation of X-rays diffraction pattern in powder method. The next step is to assign Miller's insides to the planes due to which the diffraction pattern is obtained. The procedure is called indexing of lines. For this purpose, the distance x of each line from the center of the hole is measured by taking half of the distance between two lines over the same side of the center. If r is a radius of photographic film, then its circumference 2 pi r corresponds to a scattering angle of 360 degree. Thus we can write 2 theta is equals to 360 degree is equals to x by 2 pi r. From this, the incident angle theta or X-rays with the planes can be determined. Thus, knowing the wavelength of lambda and X-rays, we can calculate the interplanar spacing using the Bragg's equation. 2d sin theta is equals to n lambda. The diffraction pattern obtained by powder method are characteristics of a particular crystalline solid. The position of the line on the photographic film depend upon the spacings between the crystal planes and hence on the type of crystal. This method is preferred as it is much simpler than single crystal method. Thus, these diffraction patterns can be used to determine the type of crystal lattice. X-ray diffraction patterns of a cubic system. For a cubic crystal, the interplanar distance dHKL is given by A upon under root h square plus k square plus L square. The Bragg's equation lambda is equals to 2 dHKL sin theta. Sin theta is equals to lambda upon 2 dHKL. Substituting the value of dHKL from equation 1, we get sin theta is equals to lambda by 2 under root h square plus k square plus L square by A. Sin square theta, both by squaring both sides, we get sin square theta is equals to lambda square upon 4a square into h square plus k square plus L square. Sin square theta is equals to k under root h square plus k square plus L square. Equation 2 is used to predict the diffraction patterns for the three types of cubic system. This is explained as follows. Primitive or simple cubic lattice. By putting interval values 0, 1, 2 of h, k and L in equation 1 and equation 2, we get a number of corresponding values of dHKL and sin square theta. These values for simple cubic lattice are listed in table 7. It should be noted from table 7 that sin square theta can't have the value of 7k because 7 cannot be obtained from h square plus k square plus L square when h, k and L are integers. The diffraction pattern contains a set of 6 lines which are equally spaced followed by a gap of sin square theta is equals to 7k and then another series of lines. Such a pattern directly indicates that the crystals has primitive cubic cells. Now second, face centered cubic lattice. The value of d, h, kl and sine square theta in table 8 show that for a face-centered cubic lattice, diffraction lines are observed only from those planes for which the values of h, k and l are either all even or all odd. Thirdly, body-centered cubic lattice. For body-centered lattice, the lines expected are different from those expected for simple cubic lattice. Table 9 shows that for a body-centered cubic lattice, all diffraction lines for which h plus k plus l each an odd integer are absent. The diffraction patterns of three types of cubic system are shown in this. The comparison of three diffraction patterns clearly indicates that missing lines can help in distinguishing between different lattice points. After identifying the type of cubic lattice, each line of the diffraction pattern can be easily assigned the appropriate value of h, k and l. From h, k, l value the corresponding value of sine square theta and thus sine theta can be calculated. From the value of theta for a particular line, the edge length of a cube can be calculated using following equation. A is equals to lambda upon 2 sine theta into under root h square plus k square plus l square. Crystal structure of NaCl KCl. X-ray diffraction pattern for NaCl crystal shows that it belongs to the face-centered cubic crystal. The value of theta for the first order reflection from the first three planes are found to be 5.9 degree, 8.4 degree and 5.2 degree respectively. The first three planes are 2, 2, 0, 2, 0, 0, 2 and 1, 1, 1. The ratio of these planes is 1 ratio 0.71705 ratio 1.137. The ratio confirms the face-centered cubic crystal system for NaCl. The sodium and chloride ions are arranged in a crystal as face-centered cubic lattice as shown in figure 34. The structure as seen in figure 34 suggests that there are two interpenetrating face-centered cubic lattices, one composed of only Na positive ions and the other of Cl negative ions. Each sodium ion is shared equally by 6 chloride ions and each chloride ion by 6 sodium ions. Keeping in mind that contribution made by corners is 1 by 8, face centered is 1 by 2, edge centered is 1 by 4 and body center is 1. We can say that a unit cell of NaCl contains 4 Na positive ions and 4 Cl negative ions. KCl has a face-centered cubic lattice like that of NaCl in which Na positive ions are replaced by K plus ions. It may be mentioned here that although both NaCl and KCl have similar structures, their powder diffraction patterns are remarkably different. You can see in the picture, the powder diffraction pattern of KCl looks like that of primitive cubic lattice, but the actual structure of KCl is face-centered cubic. This is explained on the basis of the fact that X-rays are scattered by the electrons. Since K plus ion and Cl negative ion have same number of electrons of appearing to be face-centered cubic. The powder diffraction is similar to that of primitive cubic cell, whereas in NaCl the number of electrons in Na positive ion is less than that of Cl negative ion. Since thus both these ions have different scattering power towards X-rays, therefore KCl and NaCl have different powder diffraction patterns. So here our chapter solid state is almost completely. Thank you so much.